Hi, I'm with Lindy Michi at Eclectic Gallery, and Lindy has an exquisite show of work, and I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, Lindy, about your florals. They're very striking, and they really stand up from quite a distance. And I was telling you that somebody came in from driving by the other day, and they saw this painting in the window, and they really responded to it. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me mainly about your composition, your sense of design, because I think that's really what pulls it all together.
Yeah, well, it's, I always love to have the real thing. I love to have a pot of flowers, and it just goes from there. And color, it just comes usually fairly easily. And I just sort of play with it until I get to the result that I'm happy with.
So when you say the color comes easily, are they actual colors in the room, or are these invented colors?
Yeah, they're invented colors. Oh, yeah. Definitely invented colors.
I
yes,
thought so.
Yes.
So, because there's always a sense of abstraction in your work.
Yes.
And I think it's the relationship of one color to the other is what's so striking.
Yes, exactly.
As well.
They bounce off each other.
And how do you choose that?
Well, it's sort of trial and error sometimes until I get to the point where I know that it works. It doesn't come from any sort of academic place.
Okay, so it's no color theory.
No, it's
purely
nothing
your
to
theory.
do with that. It's just a feeling that I have, and it's just, I quite often take color from nature, and nature ever gets color wrong. I mean, it never happens that nature gets it wrong,
well,
so that's my influence.
And one of the things that I find really pleasing about the work is that they're very crisp. There's space, there's room to breathe in the painting.
Yes, that's important to me, because as soon as I get too busy with it, then my mind gets cluttered and I get unhappy with what's happening. So then I have to do subtraction. I have to take quite a bit out to keep it simple.
Well, to me, they strike me as paintings that would be very easy to live with, and you could see placing them really in any environment, and it just gives a sense of calmness and a sense of openness.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's very nice of you to say that.
And perhaps we can have a look at some of the work that's inside.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm with Peter Dowgailenko in Eclectic Galleries. And Peter, you've got some amazing work here. And I know that yours is really a labor of love, and there's a lot of work and time and thought goes into your paintings. Can you tell me a little bit about the watercolor series that you've been doing?
Well, the watercolors, or not the,
the water
water lilies. There's so much character in the lilies, and the more I paint, the more information keeps coming out. So I get totally involved, and they've been expressed in so many different ways. I recall Monet's paintings, and I wanted to be different somehow, and so I started painting them and looking for new ways of expressing a lily, how to put character. Almost every lily, at least the ones in the foreground, was individually considered.
Wow, yeah, I'm sure.
And it takes me a long time, and then I have to add the mood, or fit the mood, and the painting has to be just right. And it's so hard to get it in one shot. So sometimes I have to put it down, and it may take months. I come back to it and keep coming back and coming back.
One of the things that really strikes me about this painting is the surface of the water. It has such a beautiful spatial arrangement as well. And is that something that you naturally encountered, or is this something you've created in your imagination?
That is natural. It's like what I'm finding is you have to, at least if I look at a scene long enough, all sorts of things start coming out. We tend to sort of usually look at things very quickly, and once you look at them, you move on to the next thing. When I'm painting, I'm looking at something for 3 hours, and the colors start coming out, and the feeling starts coming out, and there's so much going on in the scene, and the variance between the distance and the foreground starts coming out. So there's so much in a painting, it cannot be absorbed in one look. And this is why when you acquire a painting, it should be acquired because you really like it and you want to look at it. And the more you look at it, the more things you see. And when I paint, this is how I paint. Bringing out all the little bits and pieces that have impacted on me.
Well, that's really true. And if we move down to this other painting, what comes out after you spend some time with it is this beautiful, subtle quality of the light. You have this dappled light that is moving across the foreground in particular. But there's also elements in the middle distance and in the distance that are totally fascinating. Like I love this flock of birds that is within the image itself.
Well, that's a Squamot Lagoon, and if you go there, you're going there for the birds.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting when I painted it, I did that several sketches and several paintings before I ended up with this subject, was I wanted to catch a particular mood, and that was a mood of stillness. Like when it's really quiet, when everything is very still, and yet there's something imminent going to happen because the weather's changing. So you have very little motion, a little bit of birds, but the still water, and yet there's some running off to the side. The opening of the clouds coming in, and how the light sort of warms one spot and it keeps changing.
Well, one of the things that I have enjoyed about looking at your paintings is that, as you say, it takes time, and the longer you spend with the painting, you really start to notice, like the one of the boats is exquisite. I love the quality of light. I love the sense of the boats resting in the bay, and I was there just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and at one point the wind shifted and all the boats went in a different direction.
Yeah.
So it's kind of being aware of your surroundings in the moment as you're painting.
Very much so. The scene is always changing, and that's the challenge of painting from real life. So that's why I need to do several small paintings before I do the big one.
Uh-huh.
Like these are studio paintings as opposed to plein air. But I would have to do, I usually do 2 or 3 or 4 plein air paintings to capture the mood.
To get the feeling of
or which way the boats should be arranged, which scene is best, and also the light. Like I remember the light because this light is changes very quickly.
Yes.
So I remember that light and said, that's the light I wanted, and I had to see it. And once I saw it, I froze in my mind, and I said, I just got to paint it. And I had references to do it.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. This is a great insight to your work.